In today's world, failure is often seen as the ultimate negative outcome, something to avoid at all costs. Whether it's in our careers, relationships, or personal goals, failure feels like a stigma that can haunt us, especially in the age of social media where everything is on display for others to see. We may fear that a single failure could define us, or worse, be seen as a reflection of our inadequacy. But how can we reframe failure and view it not as a final judgment, but as feedback and an opportunity for growth? Seneca offers us a powerful Stoic insight. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. This idea teaches us that failure is not something to be feared or avoided. It is an essential part of the learning process. Stoicism reminds us that true growth comes from embracing failure, learning from it, and using it to become more resilient and stronger in our pursuits. In this video, we'll explore how Stoic principles can help us reframe failure as an opportunity for growth, self-improvement, and inner strength. Seneca offers us this insightful thought: difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. This powerful quote underscores the Stoic belief that failure and difficulty are not just inevitable, but essential for growth. Just as physical exercise strengthens the body through resistance, failure strengthens the mind by pushing us to confront our limitations and develop resilience. In a world that often views failure as something to be avoided or feared, Seneca teaches us that it is in difficulty and failure that we find the opportunity for self-improvement. Stoicism teaches us to embrace failure not as a judgment, but as a chance to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Seneca's insight: difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body, brings a profound perspective on failure. In a world where failure is often seen as a negative outcome or a personal defeat, Stoicism teaches us to view failure as an essential part of the growth process. In fact, it is through facing challenges and difficulties that we develop mental resilience and strength. Just as lifting weights makes our bodies stronger, facing adversity and failure strengthens our minds. The fear of failure. In today's world, failure often feels amplified. Whether it's in the workplace, relationships, or personal goals, we are constantly faced with the fear of not measuring up. The rise of social media and online culture often exacerbates this fear, as people's failures and mistakes are put on display for everyone to see. This fear of failure can prevent us from taking risks, trying new things, or stepping out of our comfort zones. We often imagine failure as a final judgment, something that defines who we are, rather than seeing it as a learning opportunity. Stoicism offers a refreshing approach by reframing failure as feedback. The Stoics didn't view failure as a stain on our character, but as an opportunity to reflect, learn, and improve. They believed that difficulties and setbacks were not obstacles, but pathways to greater self-mastery. Instead of avoiding failure at all costs, Stoicism encourages us to embrace it, learn from it, and use it as a tool for personal growth. Stoic practices for reframing failure as growth shift your perspective on failure. The first step in reframing failure is to change how we view it. Rather than seeing failure as a personal defeat, we can choose to see it as feedback. This shift in perspective allows us to separate our self-worth from our mistakes. Failure doesn't define who we are, but it provides us with the chance to reflect on what we can do better and to improve. Seneca teaches that failure is not an end, but a necessary part of the learning process. Embrace discomfort as part of growth. Voluntary discomfort is a core Stoic practice. When we embrace discomfort and failure as part of our journey, we develop resilience. Rather than running from challenges, we face them head-on, knowing that difficulties strengthen the mind. This mindset helps us build the mental toughness needed to handle life's inevitable setbacks. Stoicism teaches us that we are not defined by our failures, but by our response to them. Focus on what you can control. One of the central Stoic teachings is the dichotomy of control, the understanding that we cannot control external events or the actions of others, but we can control our responses. Failure often rises when we try to control things beyond our reach. Instead, we focus on what we can control: our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. By focusing on our responses to failure rather than the failure itself, we reduce its emotional impact and make it easier to learn from. Use failure as a tool for reflection. Self-reflection is a powerful Stoic practice, especially after experiencing failure. Rather than getting lost in self-criticism, we can reflect on what went wrong, why it happened, and how we can improve next time. By taking responsibility for our actions and learning from our mistakes, we turn failure into a stepping stone for growth. The Stoics practice daily reflection to evaluate their actions and make adjustments for the future. By doing this, we continuously improve ourselves and build resilience over time. Trust in the process of growth. Seneca teaches us that growth takes time and patience. Failure is not something to be avoided, but embraced as part of the natural process of improvement. The Stoics believed in consistent effort over perfection. Rather than aiming for flawless outcomes, they focused on the journey of becoming better each day. When we trust the process and accept that failure is part of the journey, we can face challenges with courage and calm, knowing that each step forward is a step toward growth. The freedom found in embracing failure, the true freedom that Stoicism offers, is the freedom to fail without fear. By embracing failure as feedback and an opportunity to learn, we free ourselves from the pressure to be perfect and from the fear of making mistakes. Failure is not the end, but a natural part of growth and self-improvement. Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes from how we respond to failure. By learning, adjusting, growing, we turn setbacks into opportunities for growth. Through voluntary discomfort, self-reflection, and focusing on what we can control, we can face failure with resilience, clarity, and courage. By reframing failure as a stepping stone rather than a roadblock, we create a life built on inner strength and personal growth. In today's society, failure is often viewed as the ultimate negative outcome. Whether it's a career setback, a failed relationship, or an unmet personal goal, failure can feel like a stigma, something to avoid at all costs. In the age of social media, where everyone's successes are put on display for the world to see, failure can feel even more pronounced and embarrassing. The pressure to succeed in a world full of constant comparison can make failure seem like an insurmountable obstacle. We may even fear failure more than trying or taking risks, because we believe it could define us or show that we are not good enough. However, Stoicism offers a radically different approach to failure. Seneca reminds us that difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. This Stoic insight teaches us that failure is not a final judgment of our worth, but an opportunity for growth. Just as physical exercise challenges the body to become strong, failure challenges the mind to become more resilient, wise, and adaptable. Instead of viewing failure as something to be feared, Stoicism teaches us to embrace it as feedback and a necessary step in the process of self-improvement. The emotional toll of failure often brings a heavy emotional toll. We might feel disappointed, embarrassed, or even ashamed when things don't go as planned. These feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt can hold us back from trying again or learning from our mistakes. Over time, this fear of failure can paralyze us, making us hesitant to take risks or move forward. Stoicism teaches us to detach our emotions from the external events around us. Failure doesn't define us. It's how we respond to failure that shapes our character. By practicing self-reflection, we learn to see failure as a necessary part of growth rather than a roadblock. Stoic principles. For reframing failure as growth, accept failure as part of the process. The first step in reframing failure is to accept that it is inevitable. No one achieves success without encountering failure along the way. The Stoics understood that life is unpredictable and difficulties are natural. Instead of fearing failure, Stoicism teaches us to accept it as part of the human experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal that everything that happens is a natural part of life, and that we should not fear the challenges that come our way. Failure is an important part of the learning process and an opportunity to practice resilience and virtue. View failure as feedback, not a final judgment. Rather than seeing failure as a personal failure or a negative judgment of our abilities, Stoicism teaches us to reframe it as feedback. Failure reveals areas where we can improve, adapt, and learn. It's not a reflection of our worth, but an indication of where we can grow. Epictetus teaches that our circumstances are neutral, and how we interpret them determines our response. Instead of feeling defeated by failure, we can choose to see it as valuable feedback that helps us refine our skills and strategies for future success. Focus on what you can control. One of the central tenets of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control. The idea that we should focus on what is within our power and let go of what is beyond our control. In the face of failure, we can often get caught up in things we cannot control, like the actions of others or the outcomes of our efforts. Stoicism teaches us to shift our focus to what we can control, our own actions, decisions, and mindset. By focusing on our own efforts, we free ourselves from the weight of external outcomes and reduce the emotional impact of failure. Practice patience and persistence. Failure often discourages us from trying again. We might feel like giving up or deciding that we're not cut out for the challenge. Stoicism, however, teaches us the importance of patience and persistence. Seneca wrote extensively about the need for patience in the face of adversity, believing that time and consistent effort lead to personal growth. When we face setbacks, Stoicism encourages us to stay focused on the process, not the outcome. Resilience is developed through consistent effort, not through avoiding failure. Reframe failure as an opportunity for self-improvement. Stoicism teaches us to view every challenge as an opportunity for self-improvement. Instead of allowing failure to undermine our confidence, we can see it as a chance to strengthen our character and build resilience. Each failure is a chance to practice virtue. Whether it's patience, perseverance, courage, or self-discipline, by embracing failure in this way, we transform it into a powerful tool for personal growth and inner strength, the strength found in failure. The true strength that Stoicism offers is the freedom to fail without fear. By reframing failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, we release the emotional weight it carries and move forward with clarity and resilience. Instead of being defeated by failure, we embrace it, knowing that it is an essential part of becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable. Failure is not a judgment of our abilities, but a part of the process of growth. When we embrace failure with patience, reflection, and resilience, we turn it into feedback that propels us forward, rather than a barrier that holds us back. As we conclude today's discussion on reframing failure as growth, remember that failure is not something to fear, but something to embrace. Seneca reminds us, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Every challenge, setback, or failure is an opportunity to build resilience, learn, and grow. By practicing Stoic principles, we can shift our mindset and see failure as valuable feedback, not a final judgment of our worth. Instead of avoiding failure or fearing it, Stoicism teaches us to face it with courage and patience. knowing that every mistake is a stepping stone on the path to self-improvement. Mental strength and wisdom are forged through failure, and each setback is a chance to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. So, the next time you experience failure, remember that it is not the end, but a powerful opportunity to learn and improve by reframing failure as growth. We free ourselves from its grip and move forward with purpose, clarity, and inner peace. Thank you for joining us today. If this video resonated with you, subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit from learning how to embrace failure and grow through challenges. Let's walk the Stoic path of resilience, self-improvement, and meaningful living together.